Okay, let's talk about that moment. You know exactly the one I mean. You've just pulled into your driveway, you've turned the engine off, the street is quiet, and you're just sitting there, staring at your own front door. Now that's not you being lazy, that's actually a profound psychological reset. See, while some people absolutely dread their commute, for a certain kind of person, the car is a sanctuary. Today, we're going to dig into the science of why your car might just be the only place your brain feels safe enough to finally stop performing.
Think about this for a second. Every single day, your brain's battery is just under constant assault. From the moment your alarm goes off, you are making decisions, and psychologists figure it's as many as 35,000 of them by the end of the day. The world outside your car is basically a relentless social obstacle course. You're always adjusting your tone, trying to read people's expressions, wearing that everything's fine mask for your coworkers, your family, everyone. And let's be honest, it is absolutely exhausting. But then, you get in your car, you click that seatbelt, and it's like the very air changes, right? This is way more than just a drive. It's what psychology calls environmental mastery. And this quote just nails it. For what might be the first time all day, you are in complete and total control. The show is over. You can finally just exist. So, who are these people who find so much peace on the road? Well, we found they tend to fall into three main types. Let's start with the first one. We'll call this person the sensory navigator. For them, the car is the ultimate solo retreat, a concept the Japanese actually have a word for, hitori.
Now, what's so incredible here is the sheer contrast. Out there in the world, your senses are just getting hammered. Visual clutter, noises you can't predict, constant movement. But inside your car, oh, you become the master of your own little sensory world. You get to control the internal weather, the exact temperature, the perfect level of light, the precise volume of your music or podcast. You are actively, literally, regulating your own nervous system, one little dial turn at a time.
There's a really powerful term for this feeling: refuge appeal. It's that deep, almost primal comfort that you get from being in a protected, enclosed space, while all the chaos of the world just carries on, safely on the other side of the glass. And you know, for people with high sensory processing sensitivity, this isn't just a nice little perk. It is a critical survival tool.
Let me ask you something and be really honest with yourself. Do you ever take the scenic route, the long way home, just to steal 10 more minutes of peace and quiet? That is not you being inefficient. That is your brain making a very smart, strategic calculation. It's choosing what it knows is the superior option, which is mental peace, over the social demands that are waiting for you right at your destination.
Okay, let's move on to our second type of peaceful driver, the cognitive cruiser. Now these are the deep thinkers, the problem solvers. These are the people who use their time on the road to conduct this kind of neural symphony, bringing a little order back to their thoughts. So here's the secret sauce. The simple physical act of driving occupies your conscious mind just enough to let your subconscious off its leash. We're calling this cognitive cruise control. It's that magic state where your brain finally has the bandwidth to sort through the day's chaos, to run a simulation of that tough conversation you need to have, and to think in complex layers. You might even find yourself talking out loud, basically having a one-person board meeting. You're not just zoning out, you're upgrading your mental software, all because the road has silenced the background noise of life.
And that brings us to our third and final type, the boundary defender. For this person, the car is so much more than a machine. It's a portable sanctuary, it's a mobile fortress of solitude.
Now this is really important. If you spend your day carefully managing your personality to fit in, or maybe you grow up in a house where your boundaries were never really respected, the car becomes the one place where that mask can finally come off. Inside these four doors, you are not responsible for anyone else's feelings or their expectations of you. And here's the key. It's not about being lonely. It's about being in a space where rejection is physically impossible.
Just pause for a second. In your mind's eye, look over at your passenger seat right now. Does it feel like an open invitation, a space for a friend? Or does the thought of somebody else being there, does it feel like a disruption to this personal, carefully controlled world you've built? Your honest gut reaction to that is actually very telling.
So what's the actual science behind this? Why does the journey itself, this in-between state, often feel so much better than actually arriving? Well, the reason is pretty fascinating.
Your car is a perfect example of what's known as a liminal space. It's a fancy term for a place of transition. While you're driving, you are neither at work nor at home. You exist in this temporary bubble where the normal rules of life and, more importantly, the normal obligations are just suspended. I just love this phrase because it perfectly captures that feeling, doesn't it? For those minutes you're on the road, you are untouchable. You literally can't answer that email, you can't do the laundry, you can't deal with that family drama. The very fact that you are unable to be anywhere else is what finally gives your brain permission to just rest.
But we have to be real here and look at the other side of this. There is a very important line we have to draw, because sometimes what feels like a healthy recharge is actually a form of hiding. Look, there is a world of difference between a drive that fills your cup and a drive you use to numb yourself to a life that feels like it's breaking you. If sitting in your driveway is a strategy to delay walking into a house that feels like a war zone, that is a serious red flag. That's no longer a healthy reset. That is avoidance behavior.
So, this is really the essential question you've got to ask yourself. Are you using this drive to connect with who you really are? Or are you using it to run away from a life that just feels too heavy to carry right now? It's a tough question, I know, but it's a really important one.
So, let's get practical. How can you turn this time in your car into a genuine, strategic superpower? Well, you can use a pretty simple 3-step framework that we're calling the windshield reset system.
Here it is, just 3 simple steps. First up, the sensory audit. Before you even start driving, consciously set your environment. Choose the music, the temperature, the lighting that you know calms you down and lowers your stress hormones. Second, the external process. If your mind is just racing with thoughts, get them out. Talk to yourself. Seriously, narrate the problem out loud to create some distance from it. And third, the 5-minute anchor. When you get to where you're going, don't just bolt out of the car, just sit for 5 minutes. Let your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, finish its work before you have to put that social mask back on.
So the next time you find yourself lingering in your driveway, don't judge yourself for that moment. Understand it. Your commute isn't just lost time stuck in traffic. It is the sacred, liminal buffer between the person the world demands you to be and the person you actually are. And that time is precious. Use it wisely.